Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Have you ever been online somewhere, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere that has a forum, a comment section? And have you ever encountered a video that speaks on biblical topics? And the comment section, sometimes it's relevant to the topic, and sometimes, oof, man, the things that you see there. Now, in my experience, I used to, maybe 15 years ago, spend a lot of time in comment sections, but you know, I saw a pattern over and over, and I'm sure you've seen it too. I've decided not to spend a whole lot of time in comment sections because people have their minds made up. Sometimes it's mocking, ridicule, and all that come up. And you know, I was thinking recently, while I may not dialogue, I still see a lot of those forums and comments quite often actually. And so I thought with that, you know what would be a good idea? While perhaps people there aren't always really there to listen, I can just take a question, I can take a statement, and I can make a video about it. And then other people that are willing to listen, consider other points of views, you know, it could work for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and share one such question. And so it's just different forums. What I'm gonna start to do is visit, read a little bit, maybe not exactly reply, but I'm gonna take them, copy and paste them into a document, and I'll address them in videos like this one here. So here's one, and you might have heard this question before. I've heard similar questions, honestly, like not this exact one, but the question is, if Lilith was created from nothing, then why did it take Adam's rib to create Eve? Have you ever heard that question before? That sounds really interesting, and let's see what the Bible says. So in Genesis chapter 1, we have creation week. And then when we arrive on verse 6, when we read about verse 6, and I'm on chapter 1, and I'm looking at verse 26, and then the Bible says, then God said, let us create man in our image according to our likeness, so that they will have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth. And it continues going. In verse 27, the Bible says, and God created man in his own image, in the image of God he created him. Male and female, he created them. More information follows. And so what's interesting is I want to go and look at verse 31, where it says, and God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. So that's the conclusion. It was the way he created man and woman was created in his image, and in the end, it was very good. Notice the contrast in that the previous days, it wasn't bad, but it would say, and it was a good, and it was good. This is the first time, and it was very good. So we know, looking at this question, that the way that it was very good. Flawless, in fact, without sin. No problems, flawless. Look at verse chapter 2, verse 7. The Bible says, then Yahweh God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And so the man became a living being. Other words, other translation, other Bible versions will say became a living soul. In fact, the Hebrew, the word is soul. So that'll be another video for another day. From the dust of the ground. Now, if I continue advancing, we're gonna look at, let me see, we're still in chapter 2, verse 18, the Bible says, then Yahweh God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. And out of the ground, Yahweh God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, and he brought to the man to see what he would call it. And whatever the man called a living creature, that was its name. So we're gonna go ahead and like verse 20 is saying that, but for Adam, there was not found a helper suitable for him at the last part of the verse. So verse 21. So Yahweh God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh at the place. And Yahweh God fashioned the rib which he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And it's gonna go ahead and continue there. So let's address the question with the information we have, right? So if Lilith was created from nothing, then why did it take Adam's rib to create Eve? Well, that's what the Bible says. So that's one. Two, you can read Genesis 1, you can read Genesis 2, and you know who's not there? Lilith. She comes from another author, not God. So why am I saying it like that? Well, here's where do we go from here? We got some information. This is what I go by. See, some people believe there are missing books, and I don't. I do not believe that. The Apocrypha, the Pseudepigrapha, they are not on the same level as the Bible as we have it in the 66 books therein. Now, if somebody wants to believe otherwise, that's fine. The Ethiopian Bible, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Adam, that's all right. You can believe that if you want to. Free choice is a wonderful thing, and it should always be that way. I don't believe that. I don't believe the Book of Enoch is inspired. I don't believe it's written by Enoch at all, actually, either. And the stories that we find in those extra books, they're not compatible, and they can sometimes be in disagreement with what the Bible teaches. So I take the Bible as we have it. That's the book I use as authority. So to me, Lilith was not a historical figure, was not who people say she was. She just did not exist, let alone during the time of Adam and Eve. So that's another thing, because she's absent from the Bible, and I believe it is fully inspired, Old Testament and New Testament. What's left out, there's a reason for that. Or left out because it's never a part. Now, with that said, then we'll go ahead. Why was it that, not that it's a question, Adam was formed from the dust of the ground, not from nothing. Eve was taken from his rib, because that's the way God designed it to be. That was his purpose, so I take it, because that's what the Bible says. As for Lilith, she wasn't there. If you got any other questions, comments about that, you can go ahead and use the comment section. I'm gonna go ahead and draw this video to a close, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your time. We'll see you on the next one.